So I've ruined a fair few mugs trying to get this right. Faded edges, inconsistent results. Some look good on one side, terrible on the other, and it took me a bit of time to realize it wasn't the machine, it was my setup. But after a lot of testing, I finally dialed in a process that works properly. So if you're thinking about getting the xTool WonderPress, or you've already got one and you're struggling to get clean, vibrant mug results, this video is going to save you a lot of trial and error. I'm going to show you the full process from design all the way through to results, including exactly what I changed to fix those issues and get consistent results every single time. And I'll also break down roughly how much each mug has cost me to make and what you could realistically sell them for at the end, so you can see whether this is actually worth doing for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start off by talking about what we need. So we have a few things. We have our mug, and these, like I said, I have purchased from Amazon in a pack of 12. In this case, you need some kind of heat resistant tape, which we're going to be using to tape things up. You need your sublimation paper. This is a special mug sized one for 11-ounce mugs, but you can get full sheets and cut them yourself. You'll also need a shrink wrap to put around the mug and hold it in, which I'll show you later. And then finally, a heat gun of some type. This is a cheap one I got from Amazon, which will also be part of the process. And finally, in this case, we're using the xTool WonderPress with the craft oven module plugged into it for our actual sublimation oven. And in this case, you can see I am dealing with a very cramped desk, but we'll make it work. Now, the first thing we're going to need is a design to print to actually sublimate onto the cup. In this case, I am using a website called Creative Fabrica, and this is one I use a lot. It's got some great resources, a lot of which are commercially usable. So I'm going to type mug sublimation into the search bar, and as you can see, it brings up loads of different designs people have already made that you can design and download and put straight into your workspace. If you're interested in Creative Fabrica, there is an affiliate link in the description as well, which helps support the channel. In this case, let's find a design. So I love this mug sublimation waffle ice cream drip. This is a good one because it's pretty vibrant. It's going to really test it, and we're going to see how well it works. So once you find your design, click that download button. It will design a file up here. If we open it up, it will contain various different PNG files, which is what we need to do this. In terms of getting it printable, I'm using Affinity Designer, but you can pretty much use any software out there. I'm using mug sublimation paper, which is 210 millimeters by 99 in height and 300 DPI, so it sets it up just like this. Once you've got your design placed in a workspace like that, I am then going to print it, and for my particular printer, these are the settings that I use. I do have a printer profile that I purchased with the printer that basically color corrects so that it prints in the correct colors. And in terms of my properties, I've got it set to a user-defined mug paper, Epson matte, high quality, and that is pretty much it. So let's print it out and let's get ready to the next step. You can see a sublimation print will always come out looking more faded than you're expecting, but don't worry, the magic happens when it transfers across to the actual item. The first thing we need to do is tape our sublimation design face first onto our cup. The reason I go for these particular pieces of paper is because they are actually already sized to pretty much fit a 10-ounce or an 11-ounce mug, like in this case. I also made sure my design was more to the lower side of it so that I can flush it up. When I actually place it on there, I can make sure it's flush with that bottom surface, and I know it's straight then. That's another key little tip for you there. Now, one thing that was taught to me was to just go through it with the tape. Don't try and be sparing. Just make sure you get this design tight against it, because the way sublimation works, the actual ink in the paper is going to a gassy form and transfer across. So for that to be efficient, we need this to be as flush to this and as tight as it as possible. And that's where the tape comes in. We are basically going to tape this in position as tight against this as possible. So let's start doing it. So I'm going to start off in this case, and it's quite difficult to do it one-handed, but I'll do my best for you guys. I'm going to just put one strip of tape along one edge like that. Then I'm going to put the cup with that facing towards me. I'm going to put this roughly halfway between both. Then I can position it around so that it looks about right. And we're going to stick our first bit of tape, and I'm going to fold the edge over there, and I'm going to fold the bottom on there. Okay, so we've got our bit flapping around like a flag now, but the key bit is is to have your tape ready for the next piece, because we're going to do the same on the opposite side. One thing you can do if you want to make it a little bit easier is just put a little bit across like that. I'm going to try and be a bit clever here and tape the whole surface like I did previously. So there you go. I'll tape across. For this piece, one, make sure your design is straight, and two, you need to pull it really tight and taut, because like I said, you want it as tight as possible. So I am really putting some force on that, and I'm going to stick it down, and once again fold that over the edge, fold that over the bottom, and I don't know if you can see, but that is really taut and really flush and tight against that glass. Now, I did a lot of cups and a lot of them failed, and it's because I wasn't taping the bottom and the top. Some people might say you don't need to do it. For me personally, doing it has given me great results. So once again, we're going to get a long strip of tape, and we are going to go around the bottom first because it's probably a little bit easier from that halfway point, and I'm going to go half and half over, tape it around. That probably just overshot it a little bit, and as you can see, I am then just going to literally bend it over so that we've got a seal. We don't want those inks escaping. We want it taut, we want it good. I've got a little gap there, so I'll do a little extra piece on there like that and fold it over, and there you go. Our bottom surface is fully sealed. We're going to do the top, same with the top. Going to get a long strip, longer this time than the last time, and I am going to place it around it like so that it joins up and over. There you go. And all I'm going to do, you can see the paper's a bit too tall in my case. I'll just fold it over and make sure it sticks all the way around. It doesn't have to be exact, it just has to be consistently sealed all around. There we go. So that is the first step. What we're going to do now is put some tape around these bits as well. We really want to pull it in tight. So let's do it again. I'm going to centrally position that, push that back a bit. Just get it about there, wrap it around. And this is where you want to pull it tight again. Make sure you are literally putting full tension on this, because the secret is contact. Contact is our friend in this case. So there you go. That is nice. I'm going to put one more here, and then I'm happy to move on to the next stage. A lot of people would say you can probably put that in as it is and try it. I'm not going to do that in this case. So these are heat shrink sleeves. You can get them in a variety of shapes and sizes. So the WonderPress does come with some of these, but this is one I purchased off Amazon. I can put links in the description, but as you can see, the reason I like this is it goes over the whole cup. And a good way to do this now, and I'll move this down so you can get a good view of this. A good way to do it is to pinch where the handle is, which is there. Pinch this, position your mug so it's centered, and then I like to basically, I cut some of it off. I don't keep it fully on there. So I like to keep about, that much on the bottom end. And what I'll do is I'll get some scissors and I'll chop this part off here. So whilst holding it, I'll just approximately cut it about there. Then I'll take the cup out and I will cut across the whole amount. So I am left-handed and I am very rubbish at using scissors. This will not be straight, but it doesn't need to be. So there you go. What we can do now is stand our cup up, place it over, and make sure, like I said, you grip that end and have it centrally located so that you're the same distance on both sides. A little bit of adjustment. So now we're going to move on to our heat gun. Okay, so let's begin on our low heat, and I am just going to start shrinking it whilst holding it. This isn't burning my finger, but if yours is a bit hotter, just be a bit careful. And I like to do it on both sides initially, just so that it kind of tightens around it, and then if I turn it off, you'll see it's now kind of gripping it itself. So what we're going to do now is just go around and we're going to get this nice and taut. So there we have it wrapped up, and as you can see, it's pretty tight all around. That is the key thing. You want it smooth because you want it to grip that label onto the cup. So just to show you as well, if you do it too much, it will start to tear. So just pay attention to that. But we're ready to move on to the next step. At this stage, if you don't have it installed, install your craft of the module. It literally just comes in and lowers down centrally into the groove. There you go, like that. There is also this little piece on top, which is what creates the seal with the heating element. Make sure that's centrally positioned and you're good to go. Now, to give you a look inside, it comes with this little mat here, and I've tested it with or without the mat, and the best results came with the mat. As you can see, you could lay you could probably get 3 or 4 of these in here laid up like that. We're just doing one in this case, but the first thing we need to do is push it in. We are going to come over here, hit that on button. Now that the machine is on, you can see it's starting to heat up to our desired temperature. Mine is set in Celsius, but if you're in the US, WonderPress, I am doing this at approximately 410 Fahrenheit, 210 Celsius for the UK. And we're going to be doing one side, we're going to turn it over and do another side. The first side is going to be 950 seconds. So we've got that set up as well. And then automatic means when we close it, it will automatically start coming down and getting it up. So there we go. Let's wait for it to heat up. Whilst we are waiting for it to heat up, we are going to place our mug centrally on its side. I rest the handle on the floor so it is evenly supported. Then we're going to push it back in and we are going to wait for that temperature to get to temperature. One nice thing about the WonderPress is once that does get to temperature, we've got it all set up, it will automatically come down and start the process off, which is brilliant. And now is a good time for me to say you get these gloves with the WonderPress. Everything from this point onwards will be using safety gloves because this starts to get very hot. This part stays okay, but we just want to make sure we're safe, so safety gloves on. Now that is up to heat, which you can see there, it did actually beep to tell me and it did start going down, but I missed it, so I wanted to show you. So what you can manually do is click that play button, and as you'll see now, that will close down, it will trap the heat, and it's gonna start counting down our time and it will tell us when it's done. So we've just finished our first part, and what we need to do now is we need to pick it up with our gloves on. You can start seeing it coming through. We're gonna rotate it 180 degrees, sit it on the other side, and then we are gonna not close it all the way because first I wanna reduce the time to 600. So for this second half, we're only doing 600 seconds. So let's put it down to it. And now that we're happy, we will close it. It will automatically close down and it will begin once again. So we are completed. Let's take a look at this. So what I will say is it is easier to do this next part whilst it's hot. Make sure you have your heat-proof gloves on because this gets very hot. So what I do is I just use a pair of scissors and cut around that bit as much as I can just to allow me to ultimately tear it and rip that outside layer off. There is no easy or right way to do this. It's just whatever works with the way you've wrapped it. But in this case, step one is done, which is remove our shrink wrap. Now we're going to remove all of that tape that we put on earlier. Obviously, what I will say is just make sure you don't hold the same spot too long because it can and it might start to get through the gloves and burn your hands, and we don't want that. We're nearly there though. We can soon see the moment of truth, and whoa! It came off quicker than I expected, but look at that. So let's take a look at the finish. It's so shiny, so vibrant, really happy. It's pretty straight all the way around as well. And what you can do is if you want to get a larger one, you can obviously get creative and do a full wrap. But in this case, I am delighted with those results. I think they are absolutely superb. So there we go. That is the full process I'm using right now to get clean, consistent sublimation results with the xTool WonderPress. Like I said at the start, this came from real testing, and once the setup is dialed in properly, the results are actually really impressive. A quick cost breakdown as well, because I know a lot of people are curious about this. The mugs I'm using work out at roughly £1.62, which is about $2.05 each. The shrink wrap is around 31 pence, which is about 40 cents. Sublimation paper is only about 4 pence per sheet, roughly 5 cents, and then allowing roughly 10 to 20 pence for ink, which is about 13 to 25 cents. I'm realistically making these for around £2 and 10 to 20 pence each, which is roughly $2.65 to $2.80. Now that is based on buying everything from Amazon in relatively small quantities. So if you were buying in bulk from a wholesale, you could definitely bring the cost down further. In terms of selling, I've had a look around and you'll see personalized mugs on Etsy anywhere between about £5 to £10, which is roughly $6 to $13. Sometimes cheaper for really simple designs, but for something like this with a full wrap and a more premium look, you're definitely looking towards the higher end of that range. So there is still a solid margin right there, especially if you're producing these in batches or for bulk orders. If you found this helpful, I've got more videos coming where I'll be testing other blanks, the 3D form module, and different ways to use the WonderPress. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. And if you are thinking about picking one up, I've got affiliate links in the description which help support the channel at no extra cost to you. Also, if you want to support the channel a little bit further, you can become an L3D supporter through membership, but no pressure at all for that. Just watching the videos genuinely helps so much. Other than that, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to help. So thank you for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.